Hello, I'm Joy Alford Brand, one of the hosts of Everyday Macaroni. And if you don't know what that is, you can check out our Hello YouTube video to learn more about us. But in a nutshell, we are a podcast. However, we want to show you some pictures and videos too, because you can't buy entertainment like this, and seeing is believing. So here we are on YouTube. Now don't forget to subscribe to our channel, give the bell a click to get notified when we post a new video or podcast episode, and give this video a like as well. We thank you for your support. Now, let's jump into the topic of today's video, and that is our podcast episodes come from recordings we make of our Monday night family dinners, where my husband, Ron, and I, and my sister-in-law, Juliet, who is a co-host of this podcast, and my in-laws, Al and Lita, all sit down once a week to have our weekly dinner together. So an unofficial character in the podcast is the food. Al grew up in Uruguay. His family's from Spain. And Lita grew up in Spain. She was born there. And they moved to the United States in their 20s, so in the mid-1950s, give or take. And they're from that generation that experienced the tail end of the Depression. And even though they were not here in the United States for the Depression, they didn't come from super wealthy families, and I get the sense that they knew what it meant to stretch a buck. So let me back up just a little. Now, if you watched the chocolate cake bonus video, and if you didn't, why not? That is a cinematic masterpiece, I'm just saying. If you watched the chocolate cake bonus video, you know that Al subscribes to the guinea pig theory of cooking. And that means that A, he believes he can make the dish better than what the recipe calls for. B, possibly use some things up that are maybe on the edge of going bad, or he might have too much of, or whatever. Or C, take a crack at making a random delicatessen. And if you've listened to episode 13, Everybody Loves Ronald, you know why that's funny, using the word delicatessen. So he'll take a crack at making some random delicacy or exotic dish or treat that he's seen on TV on like the Food Network or The View or something like that. And of course, Al and Lita also enjoy the cuisine of their mother country. So that means that Monday night family dinners can be adventurous. Let me start by showing you what I mean with a dish called fabada asturiana. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right, but with a name like that, you know it has to be delicious, right? Well, hold that thought for a minute. If you like blood sausage and the world's biggest beans, you are in for a treat. I, of course, am an adventurous eater, and I love trying food from other countries, but I prefer trying it when it's made by someone who knows what they're doing, rather than from a kit someone bought online and decided to experiment with at home. Things like this dish that had, blood sausage in it, that takes practice to get it just right. I'm just saying. It just does. And as you can see from my plate in this picture, there are at least 4 kinds of meat products in the dish, including a piece of chorizo and a whopping chunk of blood sausage. That's that dark thing at the top of the plate in the middle. And those giant beans. I'm sure they were fine, but I am not a fan of beans and never have been, even since I was a kid. So yeah, this dish with these gigantic beans was super fun to eat. I think Ron and Juliet both had chicken fingers that night. And of course, I love Spain and I love Spanish food, but homemade blood sausage is not my favorite. Again, just saying. Okay, that leads me to my next favorite cultural dish that we get once in a while at Monday night dinner, and that is, dun dun dun, barbecued sardines and boiled potatoes. While at first blush it may sound like a meal you would be served in an Irish prison, in fact, it is considered a delicatessen in Spain. Again, if you don't know why I'm using the word delicatessen, you need to listen to episode 13, Everybody Loves Ronald, and then you'll understand. First of all, you have to know that the sardines we're eating are full-sized sardines. They are not the tiny ones you get in a can at the Piggly Wiggly, the A&P, or wherever it is you get your canned meats. Nope, These are what Al Bundy would call biggins. And they come with the heads intact. Yummy. Now, I have had barbecued sardines in Spain and they were delicious. But I think that's because they were fresh from the sea right near northwestern Spain above Portugal, where Lita was born, and both Lita and Al, their families are from. So, a little bit different from the sardines we have at Monday night dinner. Those are frozen and shipped from some fish market somewhere, adding to the rigorous barbecuing and cooking that they get once they're thoroughly defrosted. And yeah, they can get a little tough to push down the old gullet, if you know what I mean. And beware of the bones. Yep, these little things, they're tricky to eat. So, yeah, that brings me to the sardine scandal of 2021. An incident that will live in infamy, infamy, infamy. When Al was barbecuing the sardines on the deck, on the grill, because they get a little stinky, and he went to flip them over, and they took a tumble onto the deck at the same time the potatoes were boiling themselves out of water on the stove. So here's what they should look like, and here's what they did look like. Yep, it was a crime scene with burnt boiled potatoes, so it smelled extra good in the house that night. Ron had chicken fingers that night too. Although I do think Juliet ate the sardines, if I remember correctly. For our final culinary treat, I thought I would share with you something Al and Lita like to make that you may recognize or may look kind of familiar to you. I call it fake paella. They make a big pot of Spanish flavored rice, and I'm pretty sure it's from some type of paella rice kit of some kind, but I'm not sure what brand it is. Haha, brand, no pun intended. Then they add green peas, a bunch of them. And again, I am not a huge fan of green peas, but I choke them down. They cook the seafood separately, and it's always very well done. There's a story behind that too, but we'll talk about that later. They usually add chicken, which is also very well done. And as you can see, they pile the rice and chicken up on a platter. Then they add the rubber shrimps and mussels on top with olives and, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing this correctly, tiras de pimientos, or strips of peppers, which Juliet just hates. And there you go, fake paella. Ta-da! If you know anything about how paella is made, it isn't like that. So, I thought we would end on a sweet note since all good meals end with dessert, right? Last year, Lita got sentimental about a baked apple dish she had when she was a kid on her grandfather's farm in Spain. You know what that means. Yep, they made it one night for a Monday night family dinner dessert. And of course, I snapped a picture of it. You're welcome. As you can see, this delicious treat is an apple with a cinnamon stick stuck in the middle of it. And again, you might be thinking, sounds pretty good to me, right? And you're not too far off the mark, since the brown stuff in the center of the apple is mostly brown sugar. However, to doctor it up, they poured some Bailey's Irish cream into the center as well. Now, I get what they were going for, but for me, it just missed the mark a little, and I'm really the only one who tried it beyond them. And that's it for today's video about Monday night Spanish dinner delicatessens. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel for more fun everyday macaroni videos. I might do a few more about food because, let's face it, I have a ton of material to talk about and pictures too. But in the meantime, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The more interaction we get, the more videos we can post. To hear more about our culinary adventures at our Monday night family dinners, check out our podcast. You can listen to it actually here on YouTube or on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or Amazon. And you can find us on those platforms by searching Everyday Macaroni. You can also find us on Facebook, although we're just now getting started on Facebook, so stand by on that. We do have a Facebook account though. We're working on it. But you can find us on Instagram by searching at Everyday Macaroni. And if you're so inclined, you can purchase macaroni merch on our website, everydaymacaroni.com. Yay! Finally, if you have a fun family story that you want to share with our audience, you can email us at info@everydaymacaroni.com, or you can give us a call at 919-729-2043. you could end up on an episode of Everyday Macaroni, the podcast. And how fun would that be? I can tell you right now, super fun. You know it would be. Again, we thank you for listening and watching and supporting us. And just remember,
every day is macaroni.